And so we begin to focus on the fall of this king of Babylon. You'll note that the pride of this king is what brought him into such a perilous position. He says that I will ascend into the heavens, above the stars, up to the mount of God. I will be like the Most High. He has all this grand language all about himself. Notice how he's constantly talking about what I will do. I will ascend. I will sit. I will be. It's all about himself and his own self-exaltation. Not concerned for the glory of God or the advance of his own people. He is simply concerned to advance himself, make a name for himself. This is the inner heart of pride, arrogance, this puffing of oneself up, to be more than what you really are. That is certainly the case for this human king. How dare he think that he could ascend into the heavens or be like God? And yet, while we are amazed at the language of the Babylonian king, there is still nonetheless this kind of language in the religions and the thought life of many in our modern world today. As they anticipate this gradual evolution of the human spirit, this transmigration of their soul, such that they pass through various kinds of lifetimes and purify their souls and advance to a higher level of being, perhaps becoming eventually some form of light, entering into the heavens. There is this inward desire in the modern heart for self-exaltation through one's own purification, through one's own good works and efforts and pride. Trying to advance oneself, whether on religious terms, political terms, or in other ways. It's all about me and what I will accomplish. We see that in political terms as political leaders of one party or the next become inflamed with power and authority and gather around them those who support them in this pursuit of power. I would make the note that it's not mere coincidence that we have here the fall of the city of Babylon and the fall of its king. There is a kind of nexus between the city and its king. They are mutually supportive and enablers of one another. The city gathers around this king because the king brings benefits to the city. And so you see in politics, in nations, that nations and cities reflect their leaders. And if you have an arrogant leader, you'll have an arrogant nation as well. Or if you have an arrogant nation, inevitably there'll be an arrogant leader taking the helm. They go hand in hand. And so in some ways you receive the kinds of leaders that you deserve. They reflect the inner heart of a nation. In many circumstances. And nations will be judged by the quality of their leaders. So, this king asserts himself in pride. His pride evidences itself, however, in the way that he addresses others around him. Look at the kinds of ways in which he treats other people. In the earlier part of the chapter, about verses 7, 8, 9 or so, the king advances his own agenda mercilessly, without regard to human sympathies or human feelings and needs. He is relentless in his aggression. He destroys without a second thought. If you don't support him in some way, he will do away with you. He might even do away with you whether you support him or not, simply to make a point that he is powerful. And you should fear him. He is characterized by anger, fury, wrath. Arrogant men have really no consideration for those who are around them. They may flatter them. They may deceive them and tell them promise them the world, but when they lose their need of that particular individual, they'll throw them, as the proverb says, under the bus. They don't care. It's all about themselves. And that's what this leader does. He crushes not only the enemies in foreign nations, but also his own people. Towards the end of the chapter, it talks about how he destroys even his own people. They fall under him as well. And so in his self-exaltation, he destroys others all along the way. He's marked by arrogance and deceitfulness. You see the danger of pride or being around arrogant people. Sometimes we look at an individual in a company, in a business, or in the community and think this fellow is on his way. He has a lot to accomplish, or she is doing a lot. And so we want to ride their coattails along to success. Be careful. Arrogance and pride has no place for others. It's all about oneself. Isaiah, in some ways, tries to reason with the king of Babylon by announcing this vision in advance so that the king of Babylon himself could be warned against his own pride and folly, but also all those who would mimic that pride and be captured up with this kind of self-exaltation. He, as it were, reasons with them by showing them the full consequences of this pride. Look at how people around them respond when this proud individual falls. There is rejoicing among the people of God. They sing songs. Even the forests of the field rejoice and sing. Isaiah is something of an ecologist. He has regard for trees. And in fact, when you read through the prophecy of Isaiah, there's a lot about the cedars of Lebanon and the trees of the field. God values trees. But the king of Babylon had no regard for them. In fact, he went through there either to devastate them and to humiliate the economy of a land, or humiliate the beauty of the land, or to capture the wood of these trees, the cedar, and bring them back to his own palaces to advance his own grandeur. But in any case, he had no regard for the ecology of the world. He was arrogant. But with his fall, even the trees are given voice, and they as well rejoice in his downfall. God is the creator not simply of our human souls, even our bodies, but of the world order, the trees, the birds, and all the rest. And it too has value in his sight.